It's figuring itself out.
We're live. I think we need to go one less. Down one less.
Oh my goodness.
That's good. All right. Well,
Shenanigans.
that made no difference, actually.
That's because we've got the sun actually coming in the windows.
Okay. All right.
See, look at this. Look, see. Oh.
Yeah,
I'll just hold my hand here if you want to balance them.
Oh, it's fine. Whatever. Good morning.
Shenanigans.
We're a little late today.
All right.
Salud for our Mexican friends. Good morning, humanity. I haven't done that for a while.
Yeah, it's because we haven't done one of these for a while.
We haven't. Well, it's only been a week or so.
Oh, a week and, 9 days.
And we're over an hour later than usual.
Yeah, what's with that, eh?
I don't know. Somebody needed to sleep.
That wouldn't have been me.
What are you saying?
Would not have been me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're a little late getting going today. So that's that. It's life. It's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Sometimes when you
Random
don't sleep.
events.
Yeah. Life happens, right?
Random skeeters.
Yeah. Oh, skeeters. We could say so much about skeeters right now.
Oh, yeah, there are
Mozzies.
Mozzies.
Yeah.
Goddamn Mozzies.
If you're having problems with Mozzies where you live, please put it in the comments.
We'd like to know we're not the only ones.
Yeah, we'd like to know that.
We need to find our Mozzie community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have any solutions, what you're doing about it.
Oh, yes. Please share. We're all about solutions. Oh, God, the Mozzies.
Mm-hmm.
It has been hell. All we can do is laugh at it now at this point, but
it's definitely better than it was, I guess, the last couple of years, because oh my dear God,
last year Alex and I would literally cry before we went to bed.
And we have a new paint job in the house. It's called Mozzie. It's a faux finish.
We've got dead Mozzies splatted all over the upper part of the walls and the ceilings.
Including ones that have already fed.
Yes.
But the important thing is that the ones that have fed don't get out. Right? They need to be returned to source, because if they get out, then that means more Mozzies.
Right.
So
yeah,
we do our best to ensure that they have a one-way ticket.
Yeah. So if any of you watching have any idea, any solutions about how to deal with Mozzies effectively, besides going around 10 or 20 times a day and doing a sweep of the house and killing them, and if you had a way, if somebody could invent a solution that actually works.
Well, these things that I bought, they seem to think they had invented a solution, but I don't know, man. They must not have tested these things on the hardy Northwestern Ontario mosquitoes.
Yeah.
The mosquitoes here are like 5 times the size as the ones in Mexico. And I don't know where else obviously have mosquitoes elsewhere, but
but where did we buy it? Online? It was some, it
was some army guy,
some trendy little thing,
designed some solution for
it was an army guy?
Yeah, that's what it tries. Some frequency thing that's supposed to attract them, but you know what?
Bullshit.
I don't know. There's a few in there, but nothing close to the ones they're shaking out in tiles.
It's almost like a few get in there and they're killed and they're stuck inside the little device, and then the rest of the Mozzies come around and go, "Oh, I'm not going in there."
My buddy's in there.
Yeah, hello. It's just sort of like.
So anyway, I tried a different strategy with them, because I had one plugged in the yard.
Yeah.
But I figured, well, with the screens open, the Mozzies are attracted to CO2, our CO2, and heat, right?
Oh, so they're climate change Mozzies.
They're climate change Mozzies.
That's what's going on.
Right, so if we have less CO2, we have less Mozzies.
There's far too much CO2 for them.
We have to reduce our carbon footprint.
I literally did not think of it until right now. We just
solved the Mozzie problem.
There just needs to be no humans breathing CO2. That's all.
So, but what I did was the open screen. So we have one out the bedroom window and one out the patio door here. I've hung one of these little things right outside the screen near the top, so that the logic here is that our heat and CO2 will migrate out of the screen, which will attract the mosquito, and then this thing is supposed to then attract it even further and zap it. But I have this patio door, I've got a video from the other day.
Oh, jeepers.
Oh my goodness. It was like mosquito attractant device. Don't even talk to me. I don't even see you there.
Mosquito attractant device is sitting here
right
outside the screen.
All
and the
screen
is filled with mozzies that are trying to get into us.
I'm going to send that video to them and say, you know what, you guys need some research up here in the
I think your product needs a little improvements. Mm-hmm. And we bought a bunch of them too at the same. That's Kevin. He doesn't buy just one of anything. He has to buy 50.
Well, no, you can't. You can't just put one because you've got a house and it's all open, but you got to get them outside, right? So there's less of them.
You're a good problem solver. I think you should try to come up with a solution.
I should, yeah. And it's going to involve beer. I've already been thinking about it.
I was just gonna say it should be non-toxic.
No, but it's going to involve beer.
Beer.
Yeah, beer. I'll tell you why. Because beer releases CO2, right? And as long as you can buy the cheapest weasel piss on the planet, it's not going to be very expensive. You don't want to do like a premium beer, like Innocent Gun. That'd be a total waste.
Yeah.
Right? But if you buy some local, like Canadian brand weasel piss, then sure, I'm sure the mosquitoes don't care. But if we have like a tray in front of this big suction vacuum kind of thing, and the mosquitoes will then, and you warm the tray just slightly, and then they're attracted to the CO2 coming off the beer and the heat signature, and then they get caught in this thing. And I mean, there's that concept's out there. It's just maybe it's something that we can make on our own, but we need like one that's the size of a tractor trailer.
Well, yeah, because the beer eventually stops producing CO2.
Right, so that means you need shares in like Budweiser or something like that, I guess, or
which we don't have.
Coors friggin' Light.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Use a light beer. I don't know why even anyone came up with the concept of a light beer. That makes no sense to me at all.
So, long story short, I think this is one problem that we don't have a solution for. So like we said, if anyone has a solution to how to deal with mozzies effectively, non-toxic, of course, because we're not into like DEET and,
But one thing we are doing, so those mosquito coils.
I don't like that he's doing this. But
our entranceway, right? Obviously, that's a entry point for skeeters. Every time the cats go in and out,
it's an outdoor
8,000 times a day.
Yeah,
but it's like open. It's got one opening, and then it's open on the roof. So I just light a mosquito coil in there, and then hopefully any mosquito that actually comes into that environment, right,
gets killed, and
then it's not attached to a cat.
We don't know actually if it works. We're doing it
it's an experiment
out of the just sheer hope, right, that it might make a difference. Because we used to use mosquito coils back when I was a little kid.
Oh yeah,
everywhere. At camp and stuff. But I mean, I'm pretty sure we burned those things inside because we did. And you're not supposed to breathe that stuff in. And I'm just kind of, I mean, we're still here. We're still alive. So I get stop.
I never breathed any mosquito coil stuff before.
No. I don't know how we friggin' survived our childhood, honestly.
No kidding, not wearing seatbelts. Imagine that shit.
I remember when we didn't
flopping around in the back of a station wagon, right?
Okay, but seriously, who here does remember a time? That means you're old like us. Who here does remember a time when it wasn't legal, like it wasn't illegal, I should say, not to wear seatbelts? Mm-hmm. So before it became law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't drive, but I went on the back of the half ton with my dog to drive almost 2 hours on the highway and then some all the way to our camp once because I wanted to. My father was like, huh? Why do you want to do that for? Because I just do. I want to have an experience. I don't know. I was just a little kid too. It was probably, I don't know, 9 maybe. 9 or 10 or something. And I'm driving on the back of the half ton with my dog. No protections whatsoever. And then it starts pouring rain. Do I go inside of the cab of the truck? No. I stay on the back of the half ton with my dog in the pouring rain. And my father drove like a maniac, okay? Like, he didn't drive below the speed limit or even the speed limit. It was always at least 20, 30, 40 over this. Like, it was dangerous. That was like so stupid to have done that.
And to add an experience on top of that experience, now you're sitting by a stinky wet dog.
Yep, covered by a blanket. How I ever thought that a blanket was going to stop me from getting wet, I have no idea. But anyway, this is the shenanigans that I would have partook in when I was a kid, because I was just like that. I just wanted to do different things. But anyway, yeah. So I'm pretty sure, though, that was back in the time after seatbelts actually were legal. Like, you had to wear seatbelts, but it didn't seem to matter to me or my father.
Have you ever noticed, like, I'm sure you've probably wondered this. You said, thought to yourself, I wonder what's going on here. You ever notice that politicians are really, really good at creating more laws and rules and regulations?
Oh my goodness.
You ever noticed that and wondered, why the fuck are you guys keep doing that? This can't be an evolution thing.
No.
Right? No. This has to be an agenda thing. Right? Because do you know, or have you ever heard of laws being removed and just sort of taken off the books? I think in Canada we have like 2 million.
That is absolutely ridiculous. There is no person on the planet that would know all 2 million laws. Like, you could never know if you were doing something right or wrong, because you wouldn't know what the damn law was. So I don't know who creates this stuff.
So you can't ride your horse on Yonge Street on a Sunday.
I'm pretty sure you probably can't ride a horse on Yonge Street, period.
Especially on a Sunday.
Now. But, yeah. But so I know, I get it. The topic is not exciting because it's corruption and politics, and the two go hand in hand, let's face it, right? Quite nicely. But this is just kind of what's top of mind for us right now because of, I would say, this week, really. Even Monday night at the screening, right? Like,
yeah, like, I mean, we know that everybody, I mean, I don't want to say everyone, but I want to say like 90+% of people that are in politics, they might be good people, but they're in a shitty system.
Sure.
And they might have gotten into that as no different than a police officer.
Believing they were going to be able to make a
change and help people and whatever.
Maybe.
And then they get disillusioned with a nice big paycheck.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
here
we're stuck in the bad system, but I don't want to do anything different because I don't want to rock the boat and get fired.
Well, let's face it, the I don't know how to say it without being censored, but that last few years was kind of a great example of that, of a lot of people who felt like they could not or would not say anything to cause any kind of conflict or potential letting go.
Because we're just following orders.
That's right.
We're just following orders, folks.
Yes,
so
that's right.
You can take your balls and stick them on the shelf, right? And all your morals and ethics and all that nonsense that you probably used to get elected, right? And just put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
And then just show up with the party line, say, yep, what do you want me to say today, sir?
Here's your script.
Here's your script.
Don't go off script.
So we
have no room for that.
If you haven't figured out already, I don't know if there is an actual political solution to the quandary we are in.
Now, of course, we're in Canada, right? And, you know, I know that Canada has a great brand around the world, you know, and it's been used for marketing,
as a country,
to other people, and recruiting, you know, international students, and people have this idea of Canada. And don't get me wrong, we have a beautiful country. We truly do.
Oh, yeah.
And like, and we're in northwestern Ontario, right in the middle of the smack dab in the middle of the boreal forest. I mean, it is absolutely stunning. We've been across this country multiple times, driving across this country. So much to see, right? Our natural resources are phenomenal. But let's face it, these people that get persuaded, I'm going to say persuaded, but these people that get convinced that coming to Canada as an immigrant is a good idea, it's all based on this, like I said, this brand, the illusion of like this brand that Canada has of being this great free country, and it's so amazing, and like,
and now when they come here and they learn the truth, guess what? They're going back.
They're going back home, and I don't blame them. Some of them, they probably can't go back home because they've invested so much to make this, you know, to make this happen, to come here. And we know, like, families help each other to get one of their people to come here and get established and make good money, right? Make that good Canadian dollar and send it back home, and then maybe eventually they can come over. I don't know. I truly do feel bad for them. I really do. And we've had conversations with lots of people that are from other countries, particularly Indians. We seem to have a little bit of rapport with Indians, of course, because we lived there and Kevin grew up there. But anyway, I mean, I actually apologize to them. I do. I'm like, I'm really sorry that you were duped, you know, like, no, I'm sorry.
But really, I mean, this raises a big issue, because if Canadians are sitting around and they're looking and seeing the writing on the wall and they're saying, well, I'm getting the hell out, right? Why is that?
And Canadians are leaving this country en masse.
Apparently en masse. Like why is that?
Tens of thousands of Canadians.
Like, what's going on there? I mean, we have to address this issue if we're going to get anywhere as a society.
But see, but here's the thing. We have a political agenda running, right? Yeah. In the world, you know, but in this country where they're thinking that they want to just replace all of us anyway with foreigners. They think, oh, well, we'll just bring foreigners in, you know, let a whole bunch of foreigners in. Yeah, lots of Canadians are leaving, but whatever. We'll figure out a way to still get their tax, to still tax them, even though they're not in the country.
It's called exit tax.
There's so much of this shit happening, you guys. Like, seriously, it is just like, oh my God, like, it's mind blowing, all this stuff that's going on. But they think that they're just going to replace all of us, you know, middle class white people that are getting the hell out, with foreigners. And I'm sorry, I don't see how that is a solution to Canada losing a great amount of its population to people exiting. And you do have to ask the question, if so many Canadians are leaving, why?
Yeah, what's going on there, folks?
What's going on to make Canadians want to get the hell out?
What's going on there?
Because I'll tell you right now, when we were in Mexico, not particularly where we were living in Mexico, because we were not in any of these places where expats like to go or anything. It was very different. We were in South Central Mexico in the desert. But when we were traveling through Mexico, right, when we were coming up, especially when we were driving back home, like, man, oh man, oh man, you go into a place like Mazatlan and it's all Canadians. You go outside, you go to a restaurant and it's all Canadians. I felt like I was in Alberta, right? It was all Canadians, and they weren't just visiting. I don't think there was quite a lot of expats that had just picked up, and that's where they live now.
Why do people feel the need to do this? I think this is the question that everybody
just because it's
has to ask and answer. I mean, is it better to be in someplace else? Is the grass greener somewhere else? I don't know. But I think the writing is on the wall in regards to the political climate and everything here in this country.
Oh, yes.
That have got a lot of people completely disgusted.
Click like if you agree, by the way, because I'm curious.
Completely disgusted.
Yeah.
with the way politics is being handled in this country. And you know what? I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I have never been more disgusted,
ashamed
actually, at the conduct and behavior of this "I must rule by agenda" bullshit that's going on.
Yeah.
And it's just,
and we know it's not just a Canadian problem. Like, we get it.
No, it's
right?
It's
this
not.
Is a
it's
global
just
problem.
We have to look at this from this context, because that's where we are.
So we're talking about this today, I guess, because number one, on Monday here in town, we hosted a documentary screening, which included a Q&A with the filmmaker, right? The producer of the film, Todd, and what's his last name? Todd. Anyway, we'll put it in the comments. But Todd and the basically the star of the documentary, you might say, David Steffen. And let me tell you, and this is not new. This is like pre the last 4 years.
This is like 2016.
Yeah. Like, this family was put through absolute hell, right? And it was all because of
an agenda,
a political agenda, right? In Canada, they were put through hell. He was thrown in jail unjustly. They were accused of killing their child because their child died of maybe not so natural causes, but I mean, that's part of the story, right? That's part of the story. But oh my goodness, what they went through. And then you just sit there, and we had a whole room full of people sitting there going, like, not in shock, but in shock. Like, there's still this feeling of, Canada is a good place, and we have good laws, and we're just, and we're all this stuff. So especially us older people who've gotten to experience some of that, right? But we sit there in disbelief and just shake our heads and go, how did that happen?
And there's only one answer. It's an agenda.
It's an agenda.
It's a fucking agenda. And guess what? The system's designed to protect itself. And
it's terrible.
The system is designed to create examples which keep the rest of the sheep in line.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Like Kevin said earlier, there's something like 2 million laws on the books in this country. 2 million laws.
You know them all?
I guarantee you most of them never get enforced. Right? So guaranteed. Guaranteed. Like, they never get enforced. Unless there is an agenda, unless there's an agenda to want to make an example of somebody, and then lo and behold, next thing you know, you find out that what you did was against the laws. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, what?
But I'm only on my horse on Yonge Street on a Sunday. What's the problem here, folks?
So I don't know. We're just really tired of the corruption in this country. And let me tell you, we have been those people that have been considering, like, should I stay or should I go now? Isn't that a song? Yeah. Should I stay or should I go now? Like, seriously wondering, like, should we stay? Should we go? What are the benefits of staying? What are the benefits of going? Like, we have options. We do. We have been given opportunities to consider, and we consider them. But I think that we're kind of at a point where it's like, and we talked about this with Todd and David after the movie the other night, didn't we? When we had them staying up the road at our friend's place, and we spent a couple hours with them talking and stuff. Great people to have good conversation with, right? But anyway, it was like, I think we all agreed, and that we came to the conclusion that we can't run away from this. Like, we can't run away from the evil and corruption that exists right here in Canada, because it's everywhere. And last night, when we went to an event that was put on by the PPC, right? The People's Party of Canada. Yeah. Because our friend is involved and he was organizing it. They talk about we talked about the same thing there, right? That they decided this is something they can't run away from. They want to, stand up and basically stand up for Canadians and feel like they're doing the right thing. You know, they want to make change, and they really seem genuine. You know, like, I'm not one to follow politics because I know it's just a big theater, but I mean, there's no question that they make a strong argument for their what policies that they want to follow, or they do follow, right? So if you were looking for a political solution in Canada, I would say they probably come the closest to how we think, right? And it's no coincidence that there wasn't a lot of people there last night, unfortunately, for this town hall, they call it. But the people who were there, we knew 99% of them. And the way that we knew 99% of those people is because they were all the same freedom people who were standing up during the debacle of the last 4 years.
The Rona nonsense.
Locally. So that's how we met all of them too, was through the freedom movement.
But the question still remains.
Yeah.
Now, when I ask this question, we have to understand, and I'm sure most of you do, that politicians are selected.
Ooh,
they're not elected, they're selected. Right? The other thing is,
I could tell you a story to prove that.
The other thing is that we also understand that the politicians that appear to us within the country are not who's driving the bus. Like, the bus is being driven by
globalists.
World
Economic
Forum, obsoletes, and WHO, all these people, right, and even higher than that. Those are the people also too that you will see, but there's shit above that.
Look, there's even some cases where people think that it goes even off planet, right? But we don't.
But the point is that because we
understand,
comprehend, know, whatever you want to use as a term, that this control mechanism for the planet is also an agenda. Right? It trickles down into the idea that politicians, regardless of the country, are selected. What has happened in Africa? Look it up. Countries whose presidents have disavowed the UN, disavowed the World Health Organization, said, no, we're not doing the CV nonsense, Jabba Jabba the Hutt shit in our country. What happens to them, folks? They get killed. Mysteriously, or in a plane crash or a helicopter crash. Think of that shit. So
all of a sudden,
who's pulling the strings here? All of a sudden now, Mexico just had a bunch of elections. What happens in Mexico? Cartels kill a lot of people if they don't toe the line or make a deal. Right? 37 people were murdered. Potential politicians in Mexico. At least 37 of them were murdered this past spring in the Mexico elections. And who do we have now? Or who does Mexico have now in power, which is such a friggin' ridiculous notion, right? You have someone that's in bed with the WEF and on board with the entire Soji agenda and all that garbage, right? So this is the truth, right? They're selected, right? And they're put in positions where they can legislate and put laws in order to make sure the country toes the line. Right? So this is the problem we face right now as humanity. This is the cancer that we have.
That's spreading like wildfire.
No, it's there.
It already is there.
It's there.
It's metastasizing though.
Right?
It is metastasizing.
It's there. This is our cancer that we have to deal with.
Yeah, it is.
Right? And the point is that is there even a political solution?
Like, we seriously want to know, like, do you think there is? Like, share with us seriously in the comments, because I'm curious to know where people's minds are at.
If someone stands up there and says, this is my platform, change. Right?
Because
Gareth Ike makes jokes about this because you've got these two cheeks of the same ass running in England. And one says change. That is like, how often has that fucking word been used in political campaigns. Do a search of it. You probably
What's your platform? Change.
Change.
Oh. What's your platform? Change.
It's such bullshit. So this comes down to the idea that what can we do instead?
What can we do instead?
Right? What can we do instead? This is going to be up to us, folks.
Well, it is. And I mean, this was the discussion last night. I mean, we're not talking like, revolution or revolts or any of this stuff. I mean, we're not saying that that's what we need to do. But what we are saying is that maybe government itself is not the answer. Like, because government is not.
Think about the very word.
What we think it is.
What does the word mean, folks? Government.
Govern means control. Ment
means mind.
Mind. So they call themselves the government.
The mind controllers.
The mind control. So it's sort of like.
So not even out of the gate, right? Do we have the chance? Because again, if the alien's standing in front of you and they say, take me to your leader.
Oh, dear.
Where are you running to? The mirror, right? Or Ottawa?
And I will tell you, because I have had the privilege of having some conversations with some aliens, that they're already here anyway. Mm-hmm. They're not coming from some
we have help.
Other planet.
Humanity does have help, and that's the one good thing is that when you start to understand that we actually have help, because the importance of Earth in the grand scheme of things with this universe is it's very critical, because Earth is just one dimensional layer in the cosmos that has multiple layers, and what happens here happens on other dimensions.
That's the quantum, that's the whole holographic universe thing, right? That's a proven concept. I mean, that's not a theory, that's a fact, right? That this is how it works.
What did Maximus say? Mm-hmm. What we do in life echoes in eternity. Okay. So the interesting thing is that what if our existence right now was predetermined, right? Or not predetermined, but it was a basic theme of subservience was set a very, very long time ago, right? What if?
If it was?
What if it was? Do you think for a moment that folks now don't have this energetic millstone around them, which has led them to believe throughout the centuries that there's always an authority and they're not it?
Someone, right? Some entity above them,
somewhere
above us,
right?
Authority.
Authority.
Yeah.
Instead of them being the authority
over themselves,
right? And cooperating amongst each other, other people that are the authority of themselves. What if we just want to be in charge of ourselves?
Ooh, that's a novel concept.
Like, what if? I want to be in charge of myself. I don't want to be bugged by these nefarious bastards. Right? Really? Mm-hmm. Just leave me alone.
Just like we don't want to be bugged by mozzies.
Exactly.
No.
Right? They're the mozzie in the room in the middle of the night.
They are.
So, I mean, what if?
What a great analogy. Good job, Kevin.
Well,
yeah.
I pull shit out of the ether every now and then.
Not Aussies, because that's Australians. Mozzies. Politicians are the mozzies in the room that you hear at night going,
right?
If it was only that simple.
Right?
But it's not.
But yeah, so
they're insidious.
I mean, what if we were in charge of ourselves? I think inherently people are 90 plus, 95% plus good people, and
we believe people are. Humanity is good.
And I know that if given the option, people will do the right thing. It's all around us.
Yeah,
we just need to see it. And you come back to the idea of laws and stuff like that, and the control structure and the threat of consequences.
Yeah.
So you look at things like highway traffic acts and stuff like this whole seatbelt thing. And while I can understand that wearing your seatbelt has the potential to increase your survival rate in a collision.
As
right?
A former police officer.
Where your head's not going through the window.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of makes sense to me. But is there anything that would say that you should absolutely 100% have to wear the seatbelt, and if you're not, we're going to fine you? Because who's responsible for it? We know that the reason that came about was because the insurance companies and the governments were paying too much money, right, for injuries caused by people not wearing their seatbelt. So this is money. But if the government has all the money, they seem to think they do. Like, why are we in debt by $1 trillion+ in this country? Why? And who are we in debt to?
This is the real question.
Like,
I'm just like, how come people aren't asking who is a whole country in debt to? Like, where do we get our money from? If we're in debt to some other entity, who is this entity?
But think about the service. Think about the scenario. So the scenario is that you as an individual have a credit card. Okay? When you start out, it's a zero balance. Then you buy some stuff, right? Balance goes up. Then you pay some off, pay the minimum payment, whatever. Then you buy some more stuff. When you reach your limit, what if you could call the credit card company and say, you know what? I'm not happy with that limit. I think it needs to triple. So you go from whatever your limit was to 3 times that. And then, keep buying shit, whatever, you're just using it. Yeah. And then, you get to the next limit, the next debt ceiling, right? And then, you know what? We need some more. What the hell?
We need
Fuck
more
it.
credit. More credit.
Call them up. Hey, let's triple this one. Right? Or at least, the very least, double it. Right? If any one of us were to do that, where would we be? Where would the system force us to go? Back in the old days, they had what was called debtor's prison. Debtor's prison. You couldn't pay your bill? Off to fucking jail, dude. Right? Yet, here we are.
Being run by
people that are running that exact scenario.
Yeah. With no accountability.
Zero accountability.
No accountability. Especially no accountability to the people. Right? Maybe they have to be held accountable to their debtors. Is that the word? Yeah. They're creditors. Sorry. They're creditors.
But who are they in debt to? Where are they borrowing money from in order to spend it? Right? Other than just continuing to print it, which we all know just cranks up inflation and the devaluation of the currency.
Yeah. And all these things are coming, right? Like the central banks are crashing.
But the point is that how is it then that they are allowed to get away with that shit?
Our rulers,
right,
are allowed.
And we would not be.
Ever.
They would hold us accountable. Mm-hmm. The system that they have created would hold us accountable.
Yeah. But not themselves.
Right? But we as people of this nation cannot hold them accountable.
Yeah.
What's the problem here? This is off balance, is it not?
Yeah. Actually, literally it is.
It's fucking bullshit is what it is.
And it's going our prediction, okay, and we're not we're not psychics, so to speak, but our prediction based on what we know is that it's going to get worse. Right? We've got some real challenging times ahead of us, right? Not just in this country, in this world, but we'll just talk specifically right here in North America. Good old North America. We've got some real challenges coming, and we're concerned, right?
Well, the point is this: choose an agenda,
yeah,
and then just follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
right. if you would want to, if I was in a position where I'd wanted to make sure that I had less slaves, right, so that I could take care of the ones that were left, so I needed to reduce the population of the herd, but I needed to do that without them knowing that that was my intention, then what would I do? I would create wars. I would create public enemy number one, where we have no choice. We're going to go. I would create famine.
Disease. Create disease, by the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Create these things.
Yeah.
And the issue here is that they can manufacture this shit. And the funny thing is that a great many people's psychology believes the bullshit. Right?
It's called mass hypnosis.
So, and it's predictive programming, and it's all of those sorts of things. So we are now programmed as a society to believe that when we vote, our voice matters. Yet, with all of these control structures in place from the top down, the illusion is that we are actually having a voice, when in actual fact is the outcome as predetermined. Look up Dominion voting machines. Where's their fucking head office, folks? Toronto. Right? Well, wasn't that a subject of something that happened like in 2020 down like south of the border here?
Yeah.
Like, this is the manipulation that can happen. And to think that it hasn't happened in Canada,
oh my goodness.
You would be silly to think that that shit doesn't happen here.
Listen, I'll tell a quick little story about how this, and this is on a very small local level, trust me. Small town New Brunswick. But I mean, I remember being a kid, and the businessmen in the area, in the community, would sitting around our kitchen table with my father, and they were talking about who they're going to put in next, for politics. Right. So it's, and they wanted someone who was favorable to, how they, what's that, Kevin?
Business.
Yeah. To business, favorable to their businesses, favorable to, knowing them lower taxes and things like that, or whatever it might have been. It didn't matter. It was always who we going to put in based on our agenda. Right. And that was just at a very local level. So, I mean, but I know that happens all the way up through, these private clubs, like these guys that are like, in these groups and seemingly have some power, So, I mean, that's just the reality of things. So, I mean, the reason we're saying all this, and I know that we're already almost like 45 minutes in almost, and it might seem like we're ranting, and we don't mean to. We really don't. It's just, it's top of mind because of the way our week has gone. Because like I said, on Monday, we did that documentary screening and Q&A, and really got a very clear demonstration of how unbelievably corrupt and dishonest and highly manipulative and just dangerous, honestly. Some of these systems here in our own country are, and they're definitely not for the people. Let's just say that. And, that documentary was a very clear demonstration of that. So, it's still disappointing. It's like nothing surprises me anymore. I've seen so much of this over the years. I mean, I'm very awake to it. I get it. And whatever, I just, I get it at a much higher level. And I do, but there's still that little piece of me, right? As that, that born and bred Canadian that wants to believe people are good, that wants to believe our country is you know,
so think about this for a second.
Just, and I just, it's disappointing.
So recently there was changes to the municipal acts or whatever that shit is, they call it, whereby a mayor has the power to veto anything a council comes up with. So let's just scenario.
So that's
just a scenario.
That's making dictatorship lawful. That's what that's
just doing. A scenario, folks.
Oh dear.
There's 13 people on a council, 12 of which vote in favor of Proposal A. Right? Now, the mayor is now got people in the community, influential business people, buddies, friends, right? People they hang out with on the weekends, calling and say, no, we don't like that.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
They have a lot of influence.
What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Is there a problem with this? Does anybody else see a problem with this issue?
So that's just at a more local,
that's at a municipal level.
But that's how it actually happens at the highest levels too, right? Yeah. It's the decisions that are being made by the puppet masters.
Even if you were in the Liberal Party,
yeah,
and your constituents called you up and said, you better not fucking vote for that. You better not. Right? Because that's bullshit. Where's your vote going to go? Where's it going to go? Liberal Party tables some nonsense. What happens in the current circumstance? Everybody that is a liberal votes for that thing, even if the constituents from the riding that
they are a representative of,
that they're supposed to be representing.
Yeah.
So is there a problem with this? I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
You do know that is a huge problem. That's people that are in positions that are supposed to be representative of the people, but they are in no way representative.
But this has been a discussion for quite some time, and I don't play politics at all.
No,
it fucking bugs me, right? I don't like it. It has. I don't think it actually has a place. Now, when you think about this too, think about a local municipality. Okay, who runs the city or the municipality? Who actually runs it? Right, I'm just going to use Thunder Bay as an example. Who runs it? City manager down. Right?
I would say pretty much.
Runs it. Like we're talking boots on the ground, water main breaks.
Yeah.
You know, picking up garbage, painting lines on the road, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that makes the city move and operate and work, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Steve. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, this whole draining the swamp idea, yeah, 100%. I like that idea too, right? But the point is that do they have an actual purpose, or is it the illusion of purpose?
Oh, you know, there's a Mozzie.
There's a Mozzie right there. You get him?
Damn it! No, go away, jeepers. So the point that you're making, though, actually, is that if overnight, we'll say, all of a sudden governments were gone. All right. They were just gone. However that happens, they're just like no longer employed, right, in those roles. Do you think that our cities would like absolutely fall apart and disintegrate because we don't have counselors?
Oh my God, take me to your leader.
Or MLAs sitting in these positions? No, absolutely not. All we would be missing is the theatrics of politics, honestly.
And you know what else would happen? People would actually step up and say, you know what? So here's an example, like Mexico, right? You got a lot of potholes.
Oh yeah.
Lots of potholes. And you got lots of speed bumps. There are people that volunteer their time and resources to go and fill in the potholes and paint the speed bumps. And they sit there and they get tips from passing motorists for the work they're doing. But just think about that concept, right? They're citizens, and whether they're
people taking charge,
or whether they're looking at it as an opportunity. But when you don't have to drive over the pothole, you're thankful for that.
Yep.
Right. But here in Canada or in the US or other places that are developed places, right?
West.
We think that the responsibility has to always fall on something or someone else.
Good point, Steve, right there. The corrupt will run out of money, but the city would run just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all the people who are actually working in the city that are keeping everything going. Right? And I bet you anything, if it came down to, I don't even know why this would happen, but if it came down to like government officials, right, are no longer there, does that mean that the money has to stop flowing? I don't know. But if it did, I bet you anything that if the people all agreed to contribute a certain amount, right, towards the pot, right, that everything would continue to be funded and everything would continue to run just fine. And we wouldn't have all these top heavy, overpaid political figures that are supposed to be representing the people and making good decisions for their constituents. I mean, I just don't think it would be a problem.
But the mayor can veto it.
But the what?
The mayor
can
veto it.
Right now, the way that this new law has been.
That's a problem, folks.
I thought that was local. I didn't know that was actually something that changed all across the country.
I think it's at least in Ontario.
Yeah.
Right? And how better?
Wow.
How better to control everything, right? You have a premier call up and say, you know what, mayors of Ontario or whatever, this is the direction we're going in, and make it happen.
Yep.
So, why is Thunder Bay bought into the UN SDGs? Why? Why did I hear, several years ago that our buddy Bill Gates, right, Mr. Dress Up, with his friggin' little like cardigans and shit, on the friggin' Zoom call with 400 mayors across the country.
Oh my God.
Like, what's going on there? So if anybody's under any illusion that, these
political figures are representative of
doing what's
the people
in our best interest, no. They rule by agenda, and it ain't ours.
No.
So that's just a fact.
I mean, how many times, honestly, have laws been put in or whatever, and you hear about it after the fact, right? So as a constituent, wouldn't you be a little like perplexed by that? Like, hello, like this is a law that affects me. How come I wasn't asked if I wanted that law? How come I wasn't, consulted? Right.
But the thing is you also have to understand too, is that what's this idea of harm?
Yeah.
Right. And I will say that I would say some guidelines, regulations, laws, statutes, whatever you want to call them, that have been arrived at because someone or a group or multiple people have experienced pain.
Sure.
Right. So let's look at those and see what the intention actually is behind said law, statute, regulation, policy, whatever.
Yeah.
Say, okay, if this was arrived at because of pain, then okay, let's consider what that actually means. But if it's been arrived at because of an agenda, then, it needs to be nullified. And we really have to go through this exercise, I think, if politics is to have any relevance.
Well, and this is the conversation we had last night at this PPC meeting. By the way, we're not PPC members. We actually didn't even know, honestly, a whole lot of what it was even about. We went to support our friend who's involved, and he's a very, we trust him tremendously, and we know that if he's involved, there's a reason. But anyway, so we went to it, and this was the question that I posed, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
To the folks that were there representing the PPC. Good people, really great people, by the way. But it was why do you think that given the fact we all have established and all understand and all agree that the corruption is deep, deep, deep in this country, that we do have these puppet masters above even our federal government that are pulling the strings,
and even higher than
globalists and the whole bit. Like we all acknowledged, all of us there agreed that that is happening, that that is real. Okay. So if that is the case, then my question to the PPC was, how do you think then that putting in a representatives of the PPC, a whole new political party, right, outside of those uniparty, is that what they call it? All the groups that are just they're all the same. NDP, Liberal, and Conservative. But how do you figure that putting in a representative of this different political party is going to be able to make any significant difference, right, in government?
They'd have to win it all.
When we know that it's all controlled and manipulated by these higher level, entities.
Because if you don't conform, we'll kill you.
Right. And they acknowledged what I said, and they totally got it. But their answer was basically,
we have to try.
We have to try. We have to try because they feel there's no other option. The only other option is just to be a wallflower and just watch what's going on and
get
do
your
nothing.
Popcorn and sit back
and just watch the entire everything just play out. And it's not. And yes, it's about watching everything dismantle. There's a mosquito. Another mosquito. Jeepers. But it was just we have to try. That was really all it was. It was, we understand what you're saying and we get it and we agree. However, we can't just sit back and do nothing.
Okay, so I get that. That's one road forward.
I get that.
Right. The question is that we have to understand, what do we do instead? Yes, absolute power corrupts absolutely 100%, Steve. 100%, and we witness that on a daily basis in this country.
Yeah.
Right, and this planet. So what do we do instead?
What do we do instead?
So how can we create something different? Because that was a question last night too. Because I said we just need to create something different.
That's our philosophy.
Right. Let's create something. Let's get our minds into that.
Let's just create something completely different. Yes, we agree, Steve. There is no try. There's only do. Kevin's quoted that multiple times over the years to the kids. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
So
I love the Yoda quotes.
I guess in a way I can completely, feel for them, because I really do feel that the people there that were there last night, they were really trying hard to, they really do care. They really do want to see a change. They really do. They care about their country, right? They care about their families. And most of the people there, most of them were around our age or older, right? We all have kids and grandchildren, and we all recognize that if we don't do something, if we just sit back and do absolutely nothing, then we are complicit in this absolute corruption that is completely destroying our country and the world, really, in a lot of ways. But we would be absolutely complicit in just allowing that to happen, right? And therefore, what are we doing if we do nothing? We are handing that problem, that massive, massive problem, off to our kids and our grandchildren.
Kids.
And that to us,
however,
is unacceptable.
However, we know that there's a lot going on in this planet. We know things are going on at a very high level as well, that are in humanity's favor.
Oh, yeah.
And while they want to try and keep pushing the Third World War agenda, right, they have no money.
Yeah.
It costs money to run a war.
Yeah.
And the way wars were arrived at in the past is that a declaration of war opened up a war chest, right, within the system. Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
They're very
but we
broke.
have to figure out what we can do here,
Our governments are very
to
broke.
meet in the middle with what's going on up there.
Yeah.
So I think empowerment of individuals, people, we have to start thinking in a different way.
We do.
We have to start considering that those entities, or, I mean, and entities, when I mean entities, is also the legal entities, right? Canada's been bankrupt. It was bankrupt a long time ago, and it just keeps, right, being bankrupt. Right? Every country is basically bankrupt.
Because our ignorance is their superpower.
Like I mentioned in the example before,
then they just keep thinking
if we
they can get
kept
away with
upping
shit.
our credit card limit and just kept meeting that limit and then upping it some more and upping it some more,
Yeah.
where would we be?
In deep kahooey.
What would we? But this is the point. Put it up there, folks.
Yeah.
I want a credit card that's got no limit.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the government's running on. Why is it good for them and not for us?
Yeah.
Right? Because it doesn't make any sense. Right? It just does not compute.
So Kevin and I really, I think you've probably gotten the point by this time that
we're big supporters of government. Huge supporters.
Not.
Like card carrying.
Like Kevin, stop. Cheapers creepers. We doubt, okay? We always stay open because we know that anything's possible, okay? But we doubt that our solutions right here in good old Canada are going to happen at a political level, okay? And we don't have the answers necessarily. No. We really, really don't. I mean, we talk about this all the time. I mean, this is how we're talking to you guys, but honestly, we'll usually sit on the couch and, you know, drink our coffee and contemplate these things, actual solutions, you know, to these issues.
I believe it's going to be a multifaceted approach, and maybe there are some people, and there are definitely some people in society that need things at that political, like, theater level.
Yeah.
Right? Because it goes back to the same thing. Well, if that is true over there, how come I don't see it on CBC or the mainstream media, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are folks that need that, but the bottom line is we don't need everybody to think in a different way. I mean, the numbers are actually very, very small, right? Super, super small with regards to shifting the energy of the universe and the ether in order to produce a different result. And I believe we're like leaps and
bounds. That's getting into quantum physics.
Leaps and bounds, like past that requirement. So,
well, I just know that like we really need to come together, right? As people, unity, as humanity.
At that level has to happen.
We truly do. We have to stop focusing on our differences, stop focusing on, you know, things that agendas. We could, all these little details that we can all get caught up in and fight about, and who the hell cares, honestly.
Squirrels.
You know, like there's one race, by the way, on this planet. Oh, I just said a really bad thing to some people, but there's one race and it's called the human race.
One.
Right? And if we can all come to the place of realizing that we are all one race, we are all humans, right? We are all on this planet at this time for a very real reason, I believe. And maybe, just maybe, unbeknownst to most of us, but maybe, just maybe, we actually on some soul level decided to come here at this time because we decided we wanted to be part of, you know, making the change on this planet finally, after many hundreds, if not thousands, we'll say years of control and manipulation and that has occurred, you know, against us.
We think there's, I mean, our faith is in humanity, because I know people will step up when they need
the human heart is extremely powerful, and oh my God, that could be a whole other conversation, you know.
And that's the wild
so if we could all just come to that place, right, where we come together as this human race and realize that we're We're all in it together. I know that's been used in American politics or something by Trump, or I don't know, but it's a true quote. It is like, we're all in this together. We're all experiencing the same thing, just on different levels, different levels of problems and stressors and, issues, whatever. But the reality is we believe we haven't lost complete faith, right? We believe that we can still make a change, but the time is probably coming where if we haven't done anything, it could end up being far too late.
Well, I mean, there is a sense of urgency. We do have to continue to wake up and help those that are ready to wake up.
Yeah.
And, we have to come together, because in the end, right, unity is what's going to, I mean, we outnumber them,
oh my goodness,
1,000,000 to 1.
Easily.
Right. And they know it. It's the classic Hopper Bugs Life speech. Right? They don't want to lose their way of life, and they need to control us in order to not lose their way of life. So if we just say, you know what, no, we're not doing that anymore, what are they going to do? Fucking nothing. Right? Because they don't have the bandwidth to do it.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
Right? They're going to provide what would be an illusion of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Or threat of it.
Or threat of that, so that the people that need that threat will stay in line. But generally speaking, like, we outnumber them. So what do we want instead? Let's determine what that is, right? And we'll just create something new.
And that's why it really doesn't serve a great purpose to sit and just keep going over and over and over what's wrong.
What's the wrong thing?
Right. And I know that we kind of did a little bit of that today, but I mean, and that was just a small piece of that discussion last night at the event we were at, but mostly it was people wanting to talk about solutions, people wanting to get
and there are a lot of people on this planet right now talking about solutions.
There are.
And doing something different.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, because part of the solution is to shine the light in dark places.
Yeah.
Right.
Shine the light on the truth.
The way things have been arrived at so far is because it's passing the bill at midnight on a Christmas Eve. Bullshit. Right?
Yeah.
So this is how they have done it in the past. Right? But the light is being shone on all of this stuff, and the child trafficking and the corruption and the dark, deep, like, secret clubs all over the place that are doing this and that. And like, the light's shone on it.
Yeah, it is.
And once the light shone on it, they can't crawl back into the cave.
Yeah, once we know, we shouldn't, and we can't pretend we don't know.
Right, and all of that information is now out there.
Yeah. And I know so many people say, yeah, but what can I do about it? That's such a huge problem. Like, I'm just one person, right? I'm just one person. That's it.
Okay. Now everybody else is going to start snapping their fingers at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Good old David Suzuki example.
Yeah, it was a good example, actually, when we got to see him speak.
Right? What's one person? We all start snapping our fingers at the same time. And guess what, folks?
All of a sudden, the entire space was filled with snapping fingers. That was really loud.
Just saying. So this is the point.
Yeah.
And when we look at, I mean, we could go on and on about
we totally
things,
could. Yeah.
At the end of the day, we have to, I think we need to be working on new things.
Yeah.
We need to, and we have to bring people together. Right? People have to come together regardless of the differences.
And those people, like the people in the PPC who really do genuinely seem to want to make a difference right here in this country, I say go for it. Right? If you can do great things, if you think you can do great things at that level, at that political level, and from the inside out, right? Like, get inside and like try to make those changes. I say go for it. What do you got to lose? I mean, honestly, it is better than doing nothing. That is true. I agree with that. I just don't think that's going to be the only solution, right? Like, there's no savior in this, right? Like,
everything exists.
Yeah.
For those for whom it exists. All right.
Yeah.
Think about that very carefully. Everything exists for those for whom it exists.
Yeah.
What that means is that this cup exists for those that need the cup.
Like Kevin.
Okay.
Because it keeps his coffee hot for a really long time.
This cup exists for those that need it. If nobody needed it, it would cease to exist because it would have no purpose. So everything exists for those for whom it exists.
So if politicians, okay, were not needed anymore, maybe they just wouldn't exist anymore. And then you might ask the question, well, how would they not be needed anymore? I would say by people taking personal self-responsibility and stepping up in their own power and saying, you know what? We can do this together. We can do this as a people, as humanity.
And we may need to come up with a new way to interact with each other.
Yeah.
That's respectful.
And we may still need to put leaders in place that are going to help us through that. But ultimately, we don't need all of those top heavy
everything exists
institutions
for those for whom it exists.
In order for us to exist here and thrive here, right? So I think it still comes down to personal responsibility. It comes down to each one of us, right? Becoming empowered and being able to, because as we do that, then we'll find more of us out there who are also, coming to that place of self-empowerment and self-responsibility and wanting to truly make a difference. And I really firmly believe there's way more of us than any of us could even begin to fathom. Honestly, I really do. So
pay attention. There's big stuff coming.
Ask questions,
pay
attention. Come together with people in community. We really feel strongly that's a big part of the solution too, is people need to come back together in community because they worked real damn hard to pull us apart. And it worked, unfortunately, with far too many of us.
What if the in and out roads of your community were shut off? What would you do?
Yeah.
Right? What would people there do before it became barbaric? Why not do the exercise now? Right? Figure out what your community needs in order to sustain itself. Right? Or your neighborhood or even your household. Right? Figure out what does it need, and then how do we meet those needs, and how do we sustain those needs?
Right? And that's not about getting into prepper mode.
It's not.
That's about being
smart.
It's about being smart, right? It's just about be prepared. We always say be prepared for the worst, and if the worst doesn't happen, then bonus, perfect. We don't focus on the worst.
As an example,
it's just being prepared.
We knew we needed a generator.
Yeah.
Well, we knew that. So the opportunity showed itself. So I bought a generator.
Yeah.
Right. And literally in the last week, we've needed it twice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And other people wish they had generators.
Yeah. Like our neighbor even. Yeah. Right.
So anyway, there's lots to talk about.
Oh my God, we could just go on and on forever.
But let's let these folks get on with their day.
Let's let Kevin get on with his day. He's got so much on his mind that he wants to be doing. But yeah, so that's our rant for today. But honestly, we just want to leave you with those kind of like those ideas or those thoughts, those things to consider. Really start coming up with solutions and really start getting back into community. We really, really, really need to get back into community. And you know what? If you have any questions or if you want to share your ideas even with us, or you want to just chat, please reach out to me. I'd say Kevin, but he's not on social media, but reach out to me.
Not yet.
Because we are working on things. We truly are behind the scenes. Like we're working with lots of other people on stuff, but we're also working on our own project that we will be sharing with people at some point.
Soon.
Yeah. And
very soon.
And it's very much along this line of solutions and how we can come together and help each other and work together to really, really, really make a difference on this planet.
Yeah.
So
because it's time.
It is. It absolutely is.
And
it's just, we're being called to do this work. So
it's just time.
Anyway, we have decided that as far as our little coffee time goes, we're probably just going to do it once a week. And we're thinking it's going to be Wednesdays, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're going to try doing that. So probably Wednesday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't decided exactly on a time yet, so bear with us as we figure all this out. But yeah, we appreciate your feedback. You know, I have been getting great feedback, right? And we're okay with criticism too. You know, we don't get offended easily. So if you want to share, you know, some ideas about how you think we could do it better or what you'd like to hear us talk about or whatever, you know, we are open. Okay, we're open to hearing what you have to say. So yeah, so I don't know if we even talked about everything that we really wanted to talk about, but we've talked about enough, I think. At this point we're an hour and 15 minutes in, so
everything exists for those for whom it exists.
we're doing the best we can, right? And I guess that's all any of us can really do.
Right.
Is the best that we can. So yeah. So is that?
That's it.
That's it. Have a great day, you guys. And we hope you got some value out of what we're doing here. And my coffee's all gone. So it's kind of the right time anyway to stop.
It's about timing, folks. It's all about timing.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Share, like, comment, because you know the algorithms on social media love that shit. So do that stuff for us to help us get the word out.
And we'll see you next week.
And we'll see you next week on Wednesday morning. I would say it's probably going to be closer to 10 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah.
That's good. I got like 4 hours worth of work ahead of that. So
yeah, so you can get up, do a whole bunch of work, make your coffee, and wait for me.
Okay.
So okay. So,
see
you guys.
TTFN.
Take care.